Hello everyone and welcome back to Suzerain, where we are in the latter stages of our presidency, or at least one term of our presidency, and there's been rumblings from Rumberg about a potential war, and so we've got a kind of rather urgent meeting on potential alliances. We are already allied with Vega's land, so I imagine if we're going to get any new alliances, that's going to kind of limit our options. I was sitting right across from David in the White Room after he scheduled an urgent meeting. I knew that the matter must have been serious. He insisted on waiting for Joseph and Lucien, so we did. Lucien entered the room with Joseph by his side. Mr. President, we came as fast as we could. Mr. President? Mr. Whiskey? What is going on? David cleared his throat. Welcome, everyone. Due to the potential ramifications, I wanted everyone to be present for this meeting. We received an envoy from the United Contana. They were requesting a state visit. Judging from the current climate, it's not hard to see what this is about. CSP is always trying to expand its influence. After all, they will most likely try to convince us to join. In addition, as part of this state visit, Malienev will of course meet with you in person, Mr. President. There's something we can gain from this state visit. With all due respect, are you out of your mind? Mr. Lancier. Well, let him continue. This is madness. We cannot even consider accepting this. I bet he'll come asking for us cooperation under the guise of enforcing their demands to join CSP. CSP being the Contanan Security Pact. Okay. That's to lead against the ATO. This will antagonise half the world against us, and we're going to be at the forefront of the battle. If you're approaching this in the perspective of national defence, then don't. We're in a better shape than we have ever been before. I assure you we don't need any outside help, definitely not from Malienev. We will make do somehow. Let's see what he wants first. I'll decide when I talk to him. We need to be careful. Mr. Whiskey, we rely a lot to use you an expert in your field with a proven track record. What's your take on this? What do you think is the right action? World tension is increasing rapidly, Mr. President, and I'm worried about the future. One misstep and the whole world might be engulfed in chaos. I'm afraid it might not be possible to stay neutral in this case. Our geopolitical position is simply too important. Soon we will have to take a side. If we don't pick a side, we may end up right in the middle of a potential conflict. I'm of the opinion that this is an opportunity we cannot miss. It all boils down to your decision. But I say we should at least listen to what Malienev has to say. Lucien, what do you think? We've heard our experts, you're the one who has to decide, sir. I'll listen to them, but I'm not going to necessarily agree. There's a tiny detail we need to get over with. How should we work on the delegation, sir? Extravagant as you can, military welcome, plain welcome will suffice. Military welcome, let's see if we can appease Joseph. As you wish, I have taken note. I think that is all for today. Thank you all for attending. As we dispersed, the world map hanging up on the wall in the room caught my attention. I walked over to it. How often were the lines of the world map redrawn over the recent decades? What about the future? Oh boy. Okay. What's next? Straight into the state visit of Chairman Malienev. Okay. The door of the pitch-black sedan opened and flashes went off. The famous ideologue and CSP leader, Leon Malienev, came out of the car, smiling and waving at the enormous crowd that gathered. It was not every day the chairman of United Contana came to visit Swordland. He was wearing his usual political uniform, greyish-green trousers, and a simple tunic with a soft, turned-down collar. A maroon carpet stretched far from the vehicle to the palace, lined with Swordlish troops. Warplanes flew above our heads, painting the sky with the colours of the Swordlish flag. As soon as Leon stepped onto the carpet, all the soldiers performed a hard salute, celebratory gunshots were fired, and trumpets started playing a Swordlish march. Monica and I walked over to meet him in the middle. Finally, I was within reach of one of the most powerful men in the free world. Or in the world, even. We looked at each other and shook hands. Welcome to Swordland. What a welcome, Mr. Rain. He turned to Monica and shook her hand. It is nice to meet you, Mrs. Moraine. Likewise, Chairman. Welcome to Swordland. On the way to the entrance, we stood in front of General Vulcan, who was in charge of the troops. Malienev smiled and saluted Vulcan and the soldiers, who saluted back. As soon as our inspection finished, we entered the palace. I don't think your army needs to put on such airs in the midst of a burgeoning global conflict. War is not show business. He looked at me with an expressionless face. As I was trying to formulate a response, he placed his hand on my shoulder and laughed. We'll laugh as well. We started walking towards the reception hall in the palace. Our path was cleared of people at once. He looked at the extraordinary interior design of the Maroon Palace. Statues, paintings, and various ornaments filled both sides of the corridor. What a palace! He pointed at one of the statues in the corner as we walked. It was white marbles of sculpture of Albrecht Renan, the founder of the Renan aristocracy. Was he the one, the original owner of the Maroon Palace? Yes, it was built as his summer residence. I thought when Tolkien sunk into power, he worked towards removing the Republic's connection to its feudal past. It is interesting that he removed the images of the last kings, but not the older figures. Was he fond of the aristocracy or the man? I have no idea, you'd have to ask the man himself. Well, I think he couldn't erase history just like that. He still needed a past that made him and his people proud. If it was not going to the kingdom he despised so much, then it made sense to look further back. He just left in the parts he liked. Isn't it fascinating how a single person can alter history? Just like that. At that moment, we came to the end of the corridor and entered the reception hall. Upon our entry, a crowd started clapping. It was comprised of various politicians, state figures, and dry martinis were handed to both of us. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Leon Malienov. People started clapping. With another thunderous round of applause, the Guntanan band started playing. Malienov and I started talking to the guests, and the reception was in full swing. After some time chatting with the attendees, Malienov turned to me. Can we go someplace where we can hear each other better? He and I sought our drinks through glasses of Earl Grey Maroon 30-year-old. I knew a special spot. With our drinks in hand, we went down the stairs to the basement. Gradually, the music and the sound of the party started to fade away. We arrived at a cosy little corner office with not much inside other than a table and comfortable chairs. He and I took a seat. It's very nice for you to throw a party for me before the official talks, but I'm still slightly tired from the long journey over the ocean. Forgive me if I don't seem too enthusiastic about the reception, I just don't have the same energy of my youth. He smiled and took a sip from his glass, and sighed. Time is a funny concept, isn't it? You cannot feel it in the moment, only to realise later that your life passed you by, and one day you look in the mirror and see an old man. When I look at you, I don't see an old man. He laughed. What do you see? A hero of the proletariat, the Red Scourge? Because he is... yeah, he's communist, isn't he? I see a respectable man and the leader of the strongest nation in the world. He sneered. Say it is like it is, Mr. Rain. I'm just an old man. There's no need for exaggeration. You can speak your mind freely. I've seen many presidents and world leaders change during my lifetime. I've seen toppled governments, civil wars, and war crimes. I fought against imperialism and the capitalist plutocracies that took its place. I look at the world today and think it has changed so much since I joined the Rotskis as a young revolutionary. But then again, I look at it and realise nothing much has changed. It is perhaps even more divided than ever. There are still wars in every corner of the world. There is still poverty, violence, and slavery. Don't you think we should step up as leaders of the world to try and end this? I completely agree. We need proper international cooperation to tackle these problems, and that's... I don't mind saying anything about that. That's true. Precisely, and that's where the CSP comes in. But before we talk about that, can you help me? I grabbed his arm and helped him stand up. Can we talk somewhere a little less damp? I need some fresh air. Of course, please follow me, Mr. Chairman. I led him up to a set of back stairs to another unoccupied office with a balcony overlooking the Hill of Pride. We took our seats around a table. It was rather chilly outside. Reaching into his distinctive jacket, he pulled out a pipe and placed some tobacco leaves inside. The smell of the leaves was overpowering, even outside. After preparing his pipe, he lit it with a match. His eyes drifted away from me while the wind blew his hair and smoke to the side. He stared at the horizon to the north. Beyond these plains lies the great Markian Sea, and in the middle of it a small island. Small, but very important. I'm glad that you gave your support to Chancellor Hegel. It's unacceptable to see the Vagish locals of the island being destroyed with the anti-Valgish regime in Helgeland. The oppression has been more brutal than ever before. All of this is happening because Vagisland joined the CSP. Now the Western powers are trying to get Agnolia to their side. They are selling their financial aid, weapons, and intelligence in return for pushing their political agenda. All of this firepower is now being directed at the locals in Helgeland. They want to finally eliminate the Valgish culture in the island and set up a military base close to Vagisland. We cannot allow that to happen, can we? I'm behind Vagisland in this conflict. That's good to hear. If we let them get away with what they're doing in the Helgeland, they'll do a lot more. Whether they are Vals, Agnolians, or Contanans who are being killed, it doesn't matter. In the end, people are dying, and for no reason other than the political aims of their governments. Everything has become a race for total influence in Mercopa. This is just part of Arcasia's grand plan. They want the CSP removed from the region, and Agnolia is their puppet in this cause. United Contana will never allow Arcasia to install weapons so close to Vagsland, nor let them harass CSP ships. They can't be given control of the Mercian Sea. Helgeland cannot fall. I thought this was about people being killed. It is. It's about people being destroyed to further aims of the Agnolian government, which is working towards isolating our allies as well as expanding the influence of Arcasia. He took another puff and started coughing heavily. One of his bodyguards, dressed in full military uniform, rushed towards us with a bottle of water. "Thank you, Mikhail, but I'm fine." The guard bowed in respect, and as Maliev drank from the bottle, he left the balcony with quick steps. So, where are we? Ah yes, Sorden's featuring the CSP. He cleared the burnt tobacco residue from his pipe and refilled it. You know we formed the CSP only in reaction to the ATO. The aim in the beginning was to stop us from uniting the entire continent under socialism. They failed. Now we're more scared than ever. That's why we're growing more and more aggressive. Today you need the CSP in order to survive against the economic power of the West. United Contana is willing to give everything it has to help others in their fight against Western dominance. I'm not sure if we need him, I definitely want to cooperate. Don't get me wrong, Sorland is a powerful country, but the world has changed. You cannot stand alone. He lit his pipe and took a puff. The wind pushed all of our smoke in our face. Without us, Arcasia would dominate the world. The Arcasian lira is already crippling other economies while they reap the benefits, yet they claim they're the bringers of freedom. Absurd. Our pact aims to develop parts of the world that have been left out. Bring people together and make a stand. Show the world the power of the people when they unite. So hereby, and extend an invitation to Sorland. I want you to stand with us. What does the CSP offer for Sorland? Security first and foremost. CSP is a defensive pact. You have the backing of the entire military power of our members. United Contana and all other members are obliged to defend each other in times of war. We also supply each nation with our military technology and assets, as well as financial aid when it's needed. All members supply each other with their resources and goods, but not for their own profit, but for the profit of our pact. Our combined production output will benefit both Sorland and the CSP, not to mention visa-free access to each country within the CSP, as well as other mutual assistance deals. And what do you expect in return? You must accept our doctrines and work towards the goals of the pact to further our power with the ATO. Do not import any technology from Arcasia, nor export natural resources to them. And finally, we want you to allow us to build a missile defense system in Duru Island, which will protect both Sorland and the CSP from the threat of the ATO. And will you stand with us against the threat of Rumburg? Of course, Rumburg is the threat to Mercopa. Surely they are being pushed by the Western powers to create instability in the region. Being a CSP member, nobody will attack you, and if any conflict occurs nonetheless, you'll have the entire CSP support. I promise you, their queen will no longer meddle in Sorland nor eastern Mercopa. I would normally decline, but we are already in ally with Vagsland, who are inherently a communist state, so I think we'll join the CSP. He smiled. It's good to see you stand with us, Mr. Rain. We shook hands, and he walked slowly up from his seat, seemingly struggling. Now I'd like to have a rest, if you'll excuse me. Of course, Mr. Chairman. Please come this way. I led him back inside. Joseph, I imagine, is not going to be all too thrilled about that, to be honest. And a lot of situations has just updated. So just looking at the military, we seem to be doing okay. We've got modernised navy as well, which is wonderful. I'm not sure we had that before. Yeah, there's going to be a lot happening there. If I go to Agnolia, they're going to be they'll be unfriendly with us. The main one I'm concerned about is, of course, Rumburg. Unfriendly. But now we're part of the CSP, we should be able to be a little bit safer. But we'll have to see what the consequences of that will be. Midnight. I was in the living room, watching the tail end of a news report, when I heard the phone ring. I sighed and walked over the phone, wondering who could be calling me this late, and I picked it up. Hello, who is this? I heard a soft voice on the other end. Hello, Anton? This is Evelyn. Sorry for calling so late. Is something wrong? Has Peter done something bad? Yes. No, I don't know, actually. Alright, let's talk. The thing is, I was supposed to meet with Peter today to hand him the signed divorce papers, but he didn't come to our designated meeting point. I figured he might have been too drunk to remember, so I went to his apartment he's been renting, but he wasn't there either. I asked around, the landlord, the neighbour, his friends. No one knows where he is. Trust me, Anton, I couldn't be more excited to be rid of this man. I can't close off this chapter of my life without his cooperation. I'm sure he'll turn up. I don't know, Anton. He was in bad shape after your press conference. Can't you get your police contacts to look into this, just to be on the safe side? Alright, if it will give you peace of mind, I will. Thanks, Anton, that'd be great. I'm sorry about what happened between you two. Thanks, I guess. Her voice sounded tired. Good night. Goodbye. And the line dropped. As soon as I put the phone down, Monica sleepily approached with a glass of water in her hand. Who was that? Is everything alright? It was Evelyn. She said Peter went missing. Missing? Johnny, he saw her, as I wager. I'm surprised she still cares about him. She's a middle-aged woman. What kind of life will she have without husband? She was a good influence on him. She was. For a while. She made her way upstairs. Called Carl to ask him about Peter. The phone rang for only a few seconds. Yes, Mr. President. Sorry for calling this late. Not a problem, sir. I only sleep for 3 15-minute intervals per night. Goodness me, how on earth do you get any rest? What can I do? I need you to find someone. As you wish. I heard the faint rustling of a notepad being opened. Who do you want found, sir? Petr Vectern. As you command, I'll report my findings shortly. Thank you for your help as always. Have a good night. He hung up and I put away the phone and went down to the bedroom to get some sleep. As I was eating breakfast, the next morning the phone rang. I picked up, and it was Carl. Good morning, Mr. President. Morning, Carl. This isn't easy for me to say. I have some unfortunate news regarding Mr. Vectern. His wedding ring, a half-empty bottle of pills, and an handwritten note were found on a bridge overlooking the Unger River. We surmised that he took his own life. What did the note say? He wished it to be read by Evelyn alone, sir. Would you like me to break the news to Miss Vectern, or should I? I'll tell Evelyn. Thanks again for your help. Of course, sir. Carl hung up, and with a heavy heart I started thinking about what I would say to Evelyn. I expected that would happen, I think. I'm wondering if there's anything... Yeah, former Vice President's suicide confirmed. Following the scandal between the former Vice President Petr Vectern and President Raymond's former secretary, it had been reported that the former VP had gone missing. Suicide has been confirmed. Petr Vectern's... Okay, yeah, read the report. Time to go for the funeral. Petr Vectern has passed away and we can honour him with a state funeral. The former Vice President Petr Vectern has unfortunately passed away. Preparations have been made and his body has been ready for the final journey. The state can choose to honour his services to the nation with a state funeral or arrange a regular one. I'm not sure he can be given a state funeral. He's going to have a regular one. I think it would annoy people if we went for a state funeral. So we'll have to go for... a regular funeral. Our convoy pulled up to the gates of the public cemetery in Erloy, Peter's hometown. Monica and Dina were beside me in the car. The news of Peter's death had hit Frank especially hard. Rather than attend the funeral, he had taken a few days off from school to have time to himself. Monica looked numb and empty, and Dina appeared to be deep in thought. But how did Uncle Peter die? Why won't anyone tell me? Monica looked like she was about to cry. It doesn't matter, sweetheart. She turned her head to look out the window, hiding her tears. We'll hug Dina. Papa, tell me the truth. Oh. Killed himself, Dina. But why? Anton, she's still too young. It's better to remember Uncle Peter by the way he lived, not the way he died. Do not reply. Dina looked as confused as she had before. The driver's window rolled down. We've arrived, Mr. President. My deepest condolences. I know you and Mr. Vectern were very close. Thank you, Sergei. Sergei went outside and opened our door. As soon as we stepped out, camera flashes went off. Evelyn Vectern was waiting for us. Upon seeing her, Monica ran up to her and they hugged. Evelyn, I'm so sorry. How are you holding up? So. It's hard to play the bereaved widow, knowing the kind of man he really was. But still, we were married almost 20 years, Monica. And the way he died, it's just too sudden. They hugged once again, and Evelyn wiped her tears and patted Dina on the head before turning to me. We'll hug her. She took my hands in hers as she pulled back. I know there's nothing either of us could have done, but I can't help feeling partially responsible for this. It's not your fault, Evelyn. Evelyn swallowed hard, her eyes filled with resolve. All right, let's go. The four of us, Evelyn, Monica, Dean and I, took our faces in front of the Vectern family plot. The crowd was sparse. Peter hadn't had many friends left by the end. His fathers and brothers left with the coffin on their shoulders and brought it to the grave. The priest completed its ceremony, and it was time for me to make a speech. Today we mourn Petr Vectern, the fourth Vice President of Swordland, and my brother. Our bond was not a bond of blood, it was something stronger, it was a bond of friendship and camaraderie. We drank together, cried together, laughed together, fought together. We must all remember him not at his worst, but for the good deeds he has done. The past is past, we've always looked to the future. That's what he would have wanted. Farewell, brother, you'll be missed. Amid the applause, I went back to join Monica and Dina. As I walked past Evelyn, she mouthed the words, "Thank you." The priest's voice cut through the silence, and everyone joined in the prayer he was chanting. Looking at the coffin, I shuddered. The coffin started to be lowered into the grave. I'd known Peter for almost 30 years. The time we spent together flashed before my eyes. The good memories and bad ones. All of it. It didn't matter. He was gone. I felt a tug on my left arm. Are you crying? Surprised, I checked my face. My eyes were wet. Yes, I am. And she hugged my leg. Come on, Dina, let's go. The coffin was fully lowered, and the tombstone placed. The crowd began dispersing. We'll leave a bottle of Earl Oil in his grave. I stayed there for myself for another half hour. The sun finally set after painting the sky blood red. Okay. Goodness me, look at that. Economic growth, that's not going well. It's been a while since Peter disappeared from our lives. I found myself thinking of jokes he'd find funny. I wanted to tell him what happened at my last meeting, but the grief was beginning to fade. Monica visited Evelyn often at first, helping her process her mixed emotions. Eventually, Evelyn sold Peter's villa in Erloy and used the proceeds to travel the world, something she'd always wanted to do when she and Peter were together. For myself and Monica, though, life in Capital had to go on, and it did. After weeks of late nights, Monica, Kiara and the Women's Rights Commission had succeeded in getting their bill through the Assembly. It was as comprehensive as they could have hoped for. I was looking forward to celebrating with my wife. Been hours since I've gotten home and she still wasn't there. I was dozing on the couch after yet another frozen TV dinner when I heard the key turn the lock. Monica stumbled into the hall. Honey, I'm home. Where were you? I was just having a few drinks with Kiara. I can't believe it. We did it. Anton, this is such amazing news. She hiccuped. Sue decided to get juiced. Oh yes, isn't that what a man would do? I believe you're turning to a politician, Mrs. Rain. Get used to it, baby. Seriously, Anton, this is what I want to do. I've never felt so alive. I'm happy if you're happy. Monica wrapped her arms around me. Now all we have to do is make sure you stay in office. With you by my side, how can I lose? Monica smiled, took my hand and wordly sent me upstairs to the bedroom. Interesting. Okay. Growth is somewhat healed. It seems to be very volatile. The sun was starting to peek through the blinds of my suite in the Grand Chariot Hotel in Amrika. I hadn't slept all night. I was too busy thinking about how I'd rally my party's Conservative base at today's election kick-off. I was putting on my clothes when two sharp, soft knocks came at the door. Lucian. Good morning, sir. Morning, Lucian. Lucian sat down in the suite's office chair and pulled a piece of paper from his jacket pocket. I just thought I'd chop off some talking points for your speech today. Much appreciated. No trouble at all. You sure you can take another 4 years of me? I'm ready if you are, Mr. President. I'll see you at the rally. I almost forgot. The Archbishop of Daria couldn't be present today, but he wanted to relay a message of support to you and your family. What did he say? I blessed the rains down in Amrika. Lucian left the room, and I finished putting on my tie and read my notes for the morning speech. A few hours later, I was waiting in the wings of the North Sword Auditorium in Amrika. In the audience were several thousand of my Conservative supporters. Behind the podium hung a Swordish flag and a giant banner that read, "Your land, my land, Swordland." Amrika Mayor Curtin-Nesta gave a short introductory speech. It was hard to forget how the Benfey event went down. Everyone cheered as I walked on stage. Though Mayor Curtin-Nesta was now part of the opposition, as a member of the NFP, you see most of Amrika was still on my side. Lucian gave a short speech introducing me, then it was my turn. I stepped behind the podium and took a deep breath. Sons and daughters of Swordland. The past 3.5 years have seen our country tested again and again. Yet I stand before you again, ready to pledge myself to God and Swordland yet again. I've begun to fix the disastrous economic decisions of my predecessors. With my re-election, I'll finish putting Swordland's economy from the depths of recession, even though we're kind of still in recession. Under my presidency, Sword citizens have united like never before. I'll continue to defend Swordland against threats, whether internal or external. And I'll continue to root out corruption. And I remain committed to stamping out corruption that's plagued Swordish corporations for too long. Thunderous applause erupted. I am the Senate. No. Swordland has changed, but the USP remains as strong as ever. I promise you, I have devoted an unprecedented amount of effort towards making Swordland's economy the best in the world. There's been tremendous we'll go with progress, not the economy. There's been tremendous progress in this term, and there's more to come. The experience and expertise of Vice President Gallade will guide us into a brilliant future. A roar shook the hall. Let's not go with Friends Richter, that's going to go wrong. It's time, my fellow swords, a new dawn is upon us, and it begins right here and now. And Magna Vescor. The audience enthusiastically finished their saying as streamers shot out cannons behind me. My re-election campaign had officially begun. I stepped down from the podium. Okay, so recovered trade volume, England lacks investment, following disruptions in welfare, Brunei is lacking behind development, and mixed economy. Okay, we've also got investments from United Contan, which is useful. Let's hope things are going back. Also, there's also a blockade of Helgeland. Helgeland is currently under complete blockade by the Vegastanian Navy. The blockade is believed to be part of Chancellor Hagel's decision to send troops to seize control of the island. This conflict was triggered by the violent protests that took place in Helgeland against the appointed Agnolian governor. Vagastanian sources claim hundreds were killed by the Agnolian security forces, mainly ethical Vagastans living on the island. Vagastan claims to be guarantor of the island's safety and peace, as it still considers the island a lost part of their mainland. Helgeland's large group of Valgish residents also see the island as being part of Vagasland, with Vagastanian nationalists being vocal about their belief that the island is an integral part of their country. The blockade has caused a significant disruption in trade and commerce in the region, impacting not only Helgeland but also neighbouring countries. As tensions continue to rise, the safety and well-being of civilians in the region remain a top concern. The international community is closely monitoring the situation, urging both parties to exercise restraint and seek a peaceful resolution to the conflict. Okay, the synergy between various investments across sectors remains low. A lack of alignment and coordination in investment strategies is leading to suboptimal results and slowed economic process. The current scenario underscores the need for a more integrated and strategic approach to investments to maximise their potential benefits. See how the economy goes now. I arrived at the Ministry of Economy and proceeded upstairs, an assistant waiting by the door to the meeting room took my jacket. I opened the door and entered the largest boardroom in the building. Sim was sitting alone with a glass of water and his documents lay before him. He stood up when I entered and approached me. After a quick handshake, I took a seat. "Good afternoon, Mr. President." "Good afternoon." An uncle sat on the door and Lucian entered the room. My most sincere apologies for staying to other matters. Did we start yet? "No, Mr. Vice President, not yet." Now that everyone is here, let's begin. As you know, we're here to review the economic process we made over the past term and decide how to proceed. I'll give you a quick refresher. Very well, let's hear it. He adjusted the documents in the pile in front of him and adjusted his glasses. From the pile, he produced 2 booklets and handed them to us. Our extra focus on the economy has resulted in some small-scale positive growth. Extra resources have been a boon to my ministry. It would be great if we followed up on this focus during our next term. Let's take a deep dive into the details now. Please turn to page 5. Let's start off with our economy plan. I'd like to say we are on track, but unfortunately I cannot. Our decisions so far have not been in line with our initial intention for a planned economy. It looks like we're going for a mixed approach instead, something between planned and market. It's unfortunate that we cannot follow through. I blame the circumstances. There is nothing wrong with the change in plans as long as the public views it as intentional and not as a hasty improvisation. Let's move on with the report. I turn to page 16, titled Status of Trade and the Effects of Foreign Policy. I'm happy to say that our trade has increased since the beginning of our term. We're on the right path. More trade means a more vibrant economy, which means an unbridled economic development. In our attempt to repair Sorden's economic system, we went for a mixed approach. We tried to cater to the needs of both business and Sordish citizens. It's been a delicate balance. Thankfully, living standards are steadily increasing. We've been receiving fewer and fewer complaints about our welfare systems. Good. A satisfied populace means more votes to the incumbent administration. Exactly. Unfortunately, our country's suicide rates have increased threefold since the start of our term. We're currently the third-ranked country, just behind Wales and Rumberg, on suicide rates, which is very alarming. This is due to our recent tax bills and prostitution ban. Maybe the ex-Vice President's death might have been avoidable if we hadn't been so careless with our tax bills. Some of our industries have also been knocked down to their knees by these recent taxations. The demand for these goods have decreased drastically, which has led to businesses in these industries being shut down. Some people are calling the government out for infringing on their personal liberty. Apparently some even filled out lawsuits saying the taxes violate their human dignity. Their lawyers argued for them that they need it for mental health treatment. Production in our country has nearly doubled since the start of our administration. It's been a great success. I couldn't have asked for more. Good work. Yes, thank you for your excellent efforts, Mr. Hull. Teamwork makes it happen. We have an infrastructure problem, and the economy won't truly flourish unless we solve it. We need to make new roads and improve the existing ones. People and businesses alike have been complaining. Smoother commutes, easier access, and faster delivery times would help everyone out. We're very close to the end. I want to talk about a few numbers. Please turn to page 57. I've prepared a chart. Our inflation rate is currently at a staggering 49%, way up from 10%. It might be the highest in Sorden's history. The Sordish rent has been wildly fluctuating as a result, and consumer prices have gone up, which means the Sordish citizens are angry at the government. Rightfully so, we have failed them, we need to take responsibility. Agreed. Mr. President, do you have any questions so far? No. We'll talk about our debt situation quickly. Our current debt is 611 billion Sordish ren, up from 427 at the beginning of our term. The debt is due to government borrowing and interest on previous debts. As a result, our government budget has decreased substantially. Due to our spending in the first term, I'm sorry to say that we've entered a debt crisis. According to my calculation, we won't be able to pay our government debt without the assistance of a third party. It's even disrupted funding to our welfare plans. Some construction projects and programs need to be put on hold because of that. Very well. I'll quickly highlight our budget expenditure. My numbers indicate that overall we've been generously spending our government budget. Money that's not spent is just pieces of paper, so that's good for us. Now, going into elections and hopefully a second term, we need to decide on the way forward. One thing is clear, we need a bigger budget. We shouldn't start our next term with a budget deficit. What should we do, Mr. President? Any ideas? Oh, I feel like if we take an international loan, that's going to go badly wrong. We're not going to take the loan. For nothing comes to mind right now, we'll just have something to do with what we have. Very well, sir. Now that's out of the way. During our first term, we faced many challenges in the midst of a recession. We've worked hard to fight against the odds, but it was not enough. Sim paused to wipe his glasses and he saw before continuing. Mr. President, you may have surmised from the numbers I've given you that the economy has worsened considerably over the course of our administration. I want to prepare you for the truth. This is no longer a mere recession. We've entered a period that historians might reasonably refer to as the Sordish Great Depression. Well, hey, wonderful. We've broken our promises and failed our people. My only hope is that the future generations will be able to forgive us when they look back. We've done all we could, now is the time to look to the future and try to fix our mistakes. I believe this is still possible. You recall that my predecessor, Mr. Vectern, was far from an economic mastermind. Now that I've given more license to act, everything should run more smoothly. We will get through this together. That is all for our meeting today. Thank you all for coming. The meeting dispersed, and I hurried to the cafeteria to get a cup of coffee. Well, look at now. Now our projected economic growth is great, but the rest of our government budget is still pretty terrible. That's not very good at all. We've got television interviews to do. We've got some other... Okay, let's read this all first. The National Front Party has welcomed General Laduran's son into the midst today in Holsword. Seeing Laduran back in politics is shocking to many citizens. Interesting. And very low public opinion. Our latest poll, conducted by the Heart of Solon Research Group, reveals very low level of public approval for the current administration, with mere 20% of respondents expressing support and the overwhelming majority voicing strong disapproval. The upcoming election appears to be a steep uphill battle for the incumbent. Recent trade tariffs have adversely impacted ship commerce and overall marine trade in Lochhaven. The increased cost of importing and exporting goods have resulted in fewer shipments passing through the city's port, causing a significant slowdown in trade activities. The economic ripple effects of this disruption being felt by businesses throughout the city. Oh my goodness, there's a lot of reports. PFJP are going to making waves in Lochhaven. Okay. We're getting into the nitty-gritty of the elections now. The Central Bank and Ministry of Economy are tackling the extensive damages caused by the debt crisis and the subsequent credit rating downgrade of Solent. Both entities have resorted to all sorts of currency and economic control measures to stabilise the volatile economy. And Lucien Gillette organised an interview for the presidency on the internationally renowned one-on-one. The famous journalist Thomas Saka will be asking the questions. The crew of one-on-one and Thomas Saka will arrive in Lochhaven next week from Kairout. And the Swedish Navy conducts drills amid rising tensions. The Swedish Navy in Lochhaven has initiated a series of military drills in light of escalating regional tensions. These exercises are designed to test the Navy's readiness in response to potential threats and to maintain maritime security in the region. The drills also demonstrate Sweden's commitment to maintaining peace and stability within its waters. Oh boy. The current economic climate in Solent has taken a severe downturn, leading to what is now being referred to as the Swedish Great Depression. The sharp rise in unemployment, coupled with a steep decline in gross domestic product, underscores the gravity of the situation. Prevailing concerns about government overspending have been further aggravated about the crisis, giving rise to financial instability. Goodness me. Well, I think we'll leave things there. We've clearly got a lot of work to do before the election, so hopefully we can manage to make some good progress, although, it doesn't seem like we're doing very well. We've made some very good changes in terms of our welfare, but not in terms of our economy, so that's something we're going to have to fix, or at least be able to spin for the upcoming election. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.